really good practice. Just have appreciated the work ethic and the attention to detail. Guys being locked in all training camp every day. That's how you make progress. And I feel like we've come a long way, but we've got a long way to go. And the next part of this starts really right now. We'll go to Green Bay. It'll be a nice practice against those guys, and then play the game, and we'll be playing for real. So we're ready to go, and we'll see where it takes us. What questions you have?
Coach, Charlie Kolar called a lot of balls today in practice. How have you seen his development as a blocker?
He caught a lot of balls today, and he's a big target, obviously, as a pass catcher, but as a blocker, that's kind of what he's been focusing on. And he's developed quite nicely. I mean, you see him in the games. He's more physical than he's ever been, and we're going to find out because he's going to be out there blocking people. And I really have a lot of confidence in him. I think he's going to do really well.
David, a job of getting that action on Saturday. When you go back and watch, what did you see from him, and kind of what were you expecting versus what you saw?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, I thought it was really good. I mean, I thought he was physical to a degree I was hoping for. I expect him to play like that, but to see it out there the very first game was really neat because he wasn't tentative at all. He's in a good mindset. He was in a game day mindset, and he hadn't played that much in the last couple of years. So that was quite a statement, I think, from him that way. Really, the way he's been practicing is the way he played, so that's what you want to see.
John, did you feel a need to sort of reach out extra and help him sort of keep his spirits up after he suffers another major injury in 2 years?
David last year, yeah. David, well, heck yeah. I mean, we've had, I can't tell you how many conversations that David and I have had that are just awesome conversations. About a lot of things. He's very smart. He's a very deep thinker, kind of a philosopher. He really is, and I learn a lot talking to him. And he's kept his head on straight. He keeps things in perspective. He's got a really strong family. And, I don't know that I really had to say anything other than the fact that just kind of conversation is good sometime, but he's been in a good place. I think he gets down because he wants to get out there and contribute, and he wants to be a part of it, but he's excited to get going.
John, do you feel you've made the necessary strides or the hopeful strides that you've wanted from the beginning of training camp to where you're at right now?
I do. I do believe that we're in a good place right now, but this is a moving target. It's an always evolving type of a deal. It's like life. You never know what's going to come next, and we'll just have to respond as we go. But I do believe we're in about as good a place as we can be in right now for where we're at. The guys have done everything they can possibly do to be as far along as they can be, so I feel great about that as a coach.
It's been a few days now with George Warhop. What have you seen about the way that he's working with the guys? And just sometimes fresh eyes on the players offer a different perspective, maybe.
Sure. I mean, George is a very experienced coach. He and Joe go back a long way too. I think he's picked right up. It's to make it seamless, you have to be really good. To step into a role like this at this time is really hard. So you've got to be a high level coach, I think, to be able to do that. And that's why George Warhop was such an opportunity for us, such a blessing that was available. I mean, I do believe it's a God thing. I really do. So it's going really well. The guys are responding really well to him. I think he understands exactly what we're trying to get done. I know he does. And he's doing a great job. And then our prayers and thoughts are still with Joe D. I mean, Joe D is making good progress. From what I understand, talking to his daughters, texting his daughters on the phone, and the information that they're sharing is they're very encouraged by his progress. He's still got some work to do, but he's a fighter, man. There's nobody tougher than Joe D, and things are looking good right now.
I think your first year in Baltimore, you had Marshall Yonda as a second-year guy, Ben Grubbs as a second-year guy, Jason Brown stepping in as a rookie at center. Either from that experience or just over your years, what have you kind of learned about what it takes to kind of keep an even keel, but also assuring some of that development from young offensive lines?
Boy, it's such a great point. And you look back, and it is kind of the nature of what we do. It's nice to have 22 starters out there that they'd been playing, and they were all great players, and you knew how they were going to play, and they were kind of self-sufficient and proven guys. But that's never the case, right? I'm excited about these guys. And the exciting thing about that kind of a situation is that the upside is something that you kind of lean into. From an optimistic point of view, you say, what can these guys be? Why not be great? And that's kind of how I'm looking at these guys right now. I can't wait to see what they develop into. But it's not going to be I understand why the concern. You know, I get the questions. We're all going to find out real soon, and it will be an ongoing. I think as we go in the season, they're going to continue to get better and better for sure.
John, are Marlon and Mekari okay? We can see them out there.
Yes, yes, they are. Yep.
John.
I know you've been really high on Zach since you've elevated him to defensive coordinator, but over the course of these 2 preseason games, is there anything that you've kind of learned as he's taken on the new responsibility of play calling? Anything about his management style that struck you?
Yeah, I guess the thing I learned is Zach's not afraid to be who he is. You know, he's just been Zach. He's been who he is. He's genuine. He's not trying to be something that he's not personality-wise. I think that's what endears him to the guys so much. Very smart, very aware. Like as we were talking throughout the game. I mean, you had mentioned about the boots and some of the run fits and things like that. You know, when I'd ask him, I say, "What do you see in there?" He was on it. You know, he knew exactly what was going on and where the mistakes and where the good things were. So that was great. I wasn't surprised by that, just as you expected. But he's really on top of it.
John, have you seen out of Daniel Faalele at right guard that gives you confidence in the strides that he's taken, and maybe what are you looking for in his game specifically in this 3rd preseason game?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's done a really good job in terms of pass protection. You know, he's been in front of his guy. There's a lot of technique things. His room for improvement is really vast because he's so talented and he's naturally able to do so many good things. And then I think when he takes the next step in terms of like just almost an urgency in the movement that comes with confidence, you're going to see a more physical player because the physicality is there. You know, he's big and he can move and he can bend. He's a powerful man, and he wants to be good. So I think the upside is pretty immense.
John, you guys have a joint practice with the Packers on Thursday and pretty much been doing them yearly for a little bit now. What's the biggest benefit you see with these joint practices?
Well, you know, you have a chance to go against a different style. Like, for instance, their offensive line is an upfield penetrating kind of a defensive line. Their defensive line is an upfield penetrating type of a front. They're going to be hitting gaps and getting upfield. We haven't seen that really in the 2 preseason games or in practice, but we are going to see it in the games. The Cowboys are going to do it, for instance. So that's something that we need to get ready for. So here's an opportunity to see a different style that we haven't seen before, plus just the level of intensity, getting guys locked in and focused at the end of a long camp. There's a benefit in that.
So was it a conscious choice by you and LaFleur to just do the 1 day instead of 2?
It was. Yeah. The league's starting to encourage that a little bit too. You know, it seems like, well, I think you're talking about, you know, some competitive human beings, you know, and everybody wants to win all the time. So that practice, you know, intensity gets to a level sometimes where on the 2nd day where it's not as productive as it is on the 1st day.
All right. John, you said after Saturday's game that Adisa, you recheck him in a couple days or whatever. Is that anything serious or?
Well, yeah, he's got a soft tissue issue again, you know. It's the other leg, but it's not like it was before. It's not the one that's going to keep him out like it was before. So you just got to keep working through this. I mean, Adisa, you saw how well he played, right? So it's just a matter of him working into football shape, I think. It's just that you think the guy's going to come out and all of a sudden he's healthy and it's like, boom, he's going to be 100%. But there's all those practices callous these guys. They get these guys to the point where they can handle the volume, they can handle the load, they can handle the reps, the high-level intensity reps, rep after rep. So he's going to work into that. We call it football shape, right? He'll have to work into that, and I'm sure he will.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.